On today's show, the Thrustmaster T-GT II racing wheel. I'm Sean Cole, this is the Simpit, and today we're here to take a look at the Thrustmaster T-GT II steering wheel kit. This is the updated version of the original wheel and the current flagship model from Thrustmaster, that is, until the T818 direct drive wheel comes out. Now, the T-GT II steering wheel came out last year and came out at $800 for the wheelbase, the wheel rim, and the pedals. It is also sold without the pedals for $700 or even as a base only for $499. So with this being a non-direct drive wheel and with it coming out over a year ago, why review it now? Well, this is the current best non-direct drive steering wheel that you can currently buy, as well as the fact that it's a Gran Turismo branded wheel, including that built-in haptics that go with that game alone, so it is always going to have a market in the sim racing world. And then finally, and somewhat ironically, this is the last of the Mohicans, the last wheel holding on to old school belt technology, and some of us, myself included, can still make an argument for the feel of a belt drive wheel. Now, with the T-GT II being the next gen or an updated version of the wheel, and you might expect a bunch of changes. Well, hold your horses, because the changes are very slight, and for the most part, they're the electronics and software within the case. For that reason, we're going to keep this review kind of brief, and we will refer you to our original review of the T-GT II wheel because it has so many common traits, and we have a link to those videos in the description. Starting things off with the wheelbase itself, it is the exact same size and built in the same plastic shell as before. It is a large, odd-shaped shell with a bit of character to it and made entirely of plastic. There are vent holes on the top and a cool mesh screen to one side allowing you to see what's inside, sorta. It has the same mode switch and indicator light on the left front bottom and the same two extra buttons on the right-hand side, but now has the T-GT II logo there as well. Another change is the now silver ring surrounding the screw-on connector for the wheel. Also new is the T-GT logo on the back mesh screen that is next to the plug-in points for the wheel. The bottom side of the wheel is also unchanged, with its two hard mounting holes and the screw-in point for the also included desk clamp. Ah yes, a desk clamp. We are old school, aren't we? I mounted the T-GT II to my R-seat with two M6 bolts that were not included with the wheel. As I mentioned, most of the changes are actually within the case in the electronics and the software. They're also hidden in all that technology mumbo-jumbo that Thrustmaster has created to describe how this wheel works. TRTF, TDCC, TAECQ, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say force feedback and fancy algorithms deliver it fast to the wheel itself. Now, inside that large black plastic case is a 40-watt brushless motor that is about 1.6 times stronger than the T300 at 3.9 newton meters, making this somewhere about 6 newton meters of power, or equal to the Fanatec CSL or a Moza R5 base. The wheel has an adjustable rotation of up to 1,080 degrees. The wheel rim that comes with the T-GT II is the exact same as the previous model, which is fine because I like that wheel rim quite a bit. However, it is an area that they could have made improvements. It's a modern take on a racing wheel, with plenty of controls to operate at your fingertips. This includes 4 push-in rotary dials, 2 mini joysticks, 5 PlayStation-type buttons, a joypad, and the triangle, circle, X, and square buttons as well. That is a total of 27 controls plus the mini sticks. The wheel rim itself is 11 inches or 280 millimeters wide, which is on the smaller side of a larger rim. It is covered in a nice, smooth, soft leather with black stitching and an embroidered blue center stripe. The entire inner lower portion is then covered in a silver plastic, adding to its modern look. The paddle shifters are made of black metal, they're squarish in shape, and measure about 3 inches or 8 centimeters long. The back cover is made of black plastic, and at the center, the Thrustmaster screw-on mount to the base. At the center of that are the plug-in points that connect when screwed onto the center shaft of the base for a wireless connection. The quick release between the wheel rim and the base is the connector for the Thrustmaster ecosystem. It is all made of plastic and uses a giant threaded connection that really isn't a quick release. Once tightened, there is a set screw to prevent it from unthreading while driving. Also unchanged from the previous version are their pedals, so we'll blow through this fairly quickly. It is a large pedal set that includes a clutch, which is nice, and it is a large black plastic case with a textured heel area and a tiny TGT logo on the front. All three of the pedal arms are made of metal, along with the pedal faces, which are adjustable in height, with the gas and clutch faces also adjusting left and right. The pedals use long-lasting sensors to measure distance of travel for the game. The throw on the pedals are all identical, which is a fairly reasonable distance, and it is also light to medium in pressure. The pedals come with a conical mod for the brake pedal that I very much recommend using. It gives the pedal a dual stage of resistance and increases the pressure required to go to full strength, as well as shortening the throw, giving it a bit more of a pro feel. On the bottom of the pedals is a channel for the wires to come out the left or right hand side of the pedals. There are 2 hard mounting holes for installing to your rig, and there are extra long bolts that are supplied with the wheel to do so. With everything mounted to my rig, I went ahead and plugged the pedals into the base, along with the USB into the computer and the power supply, which is the carried over turbo-shaped power supply from the previous model. I downloaded the Thrustmaster software from their website, fired it up, let it update my firmware, which was very easy, and we were up and running. With that, let's talk about how the Thrustmaster T-GT II performed out on track. This wheel kind of took me back in time, a time when our wheels didn't actually try to break our wrists or kill us. This wheel is light at first touch. It's fast turning, and it is also smooth. Now when I hold it with my fingertips, there's a hint of notchiness, reminding me that this is a belt drive wheel. But as the power ramps up, or as my grip fully holds the wheel, that feeling goes away and we are back to its smooth, fast turning. At under 6 Newton meters of power, there are never moments when the force feedback overwhelms you, but it is always present. However, over gripping the wheel will minimize these effects compared to heavier wheels. The overall power of this wheel flirts with what I would say is the minimum amount for pro-level racer of today's standards, and many are going to want more. With that said, the effects are well delivered and give you all the needed signals for better lap times. The wheel rim, which is only available with this combo and not an add-on wheel rim, is kind of cool. The leather is smooth and super soft and almost slippery. Matched with this being a round wheel, it is great for drifting or letting the wheel slide in your hands in those roll out of the corner moments. The shape is small, which adds to the quickness of the turning action, but also aids in working for just about any type of driving. It also aids in the ability to reach just about every control with your hands on the wheel. Granted, it might require a pivot of your hand for the lower controls. I still really like the 4 rotary dials with their distinct detents between positions and the very clear click when pressed in. They feel very high-end. But I would still like to see better feeling buttons in all of the other positions. Sure, you can still title them after PlayStation controller, but they can feel like racing buttons too. They get the job done, and they are plentiful for in-game action. Another area I would have liked to see improvement is in the shifters. The paddle shifters are made of thin metal and feel a little simple. Their action or resistance is a click-style switch combined with a spring. They are lightly sprung, and this allows for easy operation even with only one finger on the paddle. These also feel kind of old school by today's standards, when even the T128 has been upgraded to magnetic shifters. Despite that, they do feel good enough to get the job done, but are not one of the highlights of this wheel. The wheel's connection to the base is solid, but does allow for a slight amount of flex. And it is this that reminded me of one of the biggest reasons why the world has gone mad for DD wheels and their overall rigidity. It is a combination of the plastic parts and the sheer size of the base that does allow just a hint of movement when you press, pull, or twist on the wheel beyond its intended directional movement. The pedals are again unchanged and a really nice version of an old school pedal set. Their giant base gives you plenty of room for your feet, and with them hard mounted, they feel sturdy for a plastic base. The pedal arms are stiff and rigid and move smoothly. In the end, the gas pedal was perfectly fine with a pretty good amount of throw and the right kind of resistance. But the brake pedal is still a disappointment to me, as it is just travel based versus a load cell. However, with the conical mod, they worked surprisingly well. Its dual stage gave me a scrub or trail braking zone of the first 50%, and then I needed to push beyond that into that 51 to 100% range for full braking. The clutch? Well, it was identical to the gas, which was as minimalistic as a clutch could be. Yes, it activated the clutch. Did it feel like one? No. All in all, this setup was more comfortable and better performing than I expected. And I say that because recently I have tested a lot of high-end wheel and pedals to compare it to. So between the previous review and this one, that should give you just about everything you need to know about the Thrustmaster T-GT II steering wheel kit in this case. But to make it perfectly clear, let's break it down with the good, the not so good, and the bottom line, starting off with the good, and that being this is a reliable design, time proven. Tons of buttons and dials, 27 in all, plus 2 mini sticks. Good force feedback. Compatible for all rigs, plus a desk clamp. Bonus tactile feedback, Gran Turismo only. Smooth and gentle turning. Comfortable rim. Strongest non-direct drive wheelbase. Thrustmaster ecosystem. Wireless wheel rim. PC, PS4, PS5 compatible. Plug and play, 1 USB. And now on to the not so good. This is not a powerful wheelbase. Slight notchy feel with light touch. Old technology. Plastic base. Very large wheelbase. Expensive for what it is. Slight flex at quick release. Pedals included are only okay. And now on to the bottom line. After driving so many direct drive wheels in recent years and then coming back to a relatively high-end belt-driven wheel, it's made me think maybe we're not quite out of the woodwork when it comes to designing the ultimate steering wheel, and maybe the direct drive wheel on its own isn't the design of the future. When direct drive wheels first came on the market, I really did appreciate the power and the rigidity that they brought to sim racing. However, on the other hand, I always felt that they hit you very strongly and with a lot of impact. And there was something kind of pleasant, something nice about a belt-driven system. Which makes me think maybe there still is room for improvement in the direct drive steering wheel design. Maybe it wasn't the belt that was the problem, but the motors they were using, and that a combination of both might be the perfect answer. Maybe a design something like this. So here we are years from the original release, and it is the exact same price, $800, which on one hand is really nice. It hasn't gone up like almost everything else in the world. The only problem is the direct drive equivalent is a lot cheaper. On the wheelbase itself, you're looking at $499 for the TGT, whereas the Fanatec CSL base is only $350 and the Moza R5 base is only $349. But it is also part of their ecosystem, meaning that if you're already invested, maybe you have a set of TLCM pedals, maybe you have various different wheels or the shifter, and you're looking for an upgrade but not ready or not waiting for the direct drive wheel from Thrustmaster, this is again a reliable, tried and true design. And it is still one of the best choices for the PlayStation. It is the ultimate Gran Turismo wheel with its integration into the game. I didn't retest that in this review, but we did cover it in the previous TGT review. In addition, at that $800 price point in today's market, there are some changes that I would have liked to have seen to it. You gotta throw in the TLCM pedals even at that price, and it probably still should be lower, but at least you'd have me on a load cell pedal on a flagship level racing wheel. The other thing is magnetic shifters. Even the T128 has been upgraded to magnetic paddle shifters. It would have been a cheap and simple upgrade. And speaking of the T128 and things they could have done to get more into this wheel, they could have added the LED RPM strip also included in that T128, a sub $200 steering wheel. So I feel like I've kind of hammered on this wheel in this review a little bit, and it's just existing in such a tough market in sim racing right now. There's been so much innovation, so much change, but again, going back to a belt drive wheel does really make me think, are we really at where the wheels are going to be in a few more years, or are we going to see a lot more change before we're really happy as sim racers? And most of all, I want to see how this performs against the exact counterpart, a 6 Nm steering wheel. So we're going to have to do one of those shootouts coming out very soon. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you subscribe to the channel, you can find out when our next video comes out. And most of all, thank you for watching. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.